Welcome, guys. It's FAQ Friday. I'm Andrew Beach. I'm an executive career coach, and I help people understand better how to communicate their unique value through personal branding and effective networking communications. And today on FAQ Friday, I've actually borrowed a number of really good questions that I've received recently off of Reddit. And so, if you would please just tell me in the comments down below, can you hear me? Is everything okay? Is there any kind of echo? I know I had a problem with that once before. So I'm here to answer your questions, provide you support and value over and above what you can pay for. Isn't that exciting? I like to be able to offer more value than you pay in return. So let's go ahead and get started. I've actually got a couple of things that are interesting that I would like to share with you. So let's go ahead and do that now. When I get these questions off of Reddit, I'm not looking to obtain any kind of therapy session, but just to offer some practical advice on what you can do to improve your chances of success. And so, if you would please, over in the chat, I've got that running on the side here. I'd love to see where you're watching from. Sometimes we don't know when we get on here as to who is actually on the live stream. So just put a quick note in there and tell me where you're from and any questions that you might have about networking, job search, personal branding, or executive talent development. Those are areas where I have competence and can offer some insights. So let's start with the first question today, and it comes from Aragon 1001. It says, how can I get over the fear of starting over at a new company? I'm currently a tech support guy. Good for you. That's a skill that's in high demand, by the way. Benefits are great. Pay is low. That kind of shocks me because most people that are good at technical support have an ability to learn new and emerging technologies. So it sounds to me in this case you're after a legacy product. And so you're supporting a legacy product that is end of life. And so not uncommon that as those get transitioned away, that support goes away. So if you have a fear, let's squash that fear, because I'll tell you what, you either get to decide what happens next, or the company is probably going to decide for you. And I can see they're taking some of those steps already based on what you said here. And however, it's a very secure job. Well, it's secure for now. And one of the things I've realized over several years of coaching people in career transition is that nothing is for sure. People who thought they had a secure job were doing very well, were complacent with the amount of money they were making, and weren't looking at all, were 100% dedicated to the company, but they still got a tap on the shoulder and said, hey, I need to have a talk with you in the conference room. We're no longer going to need your services here. It's time for you to go. And that's happened to me personally, and it's happened to people that I know. So what we try to do is we try to get you to understand that you are an active participant in your success. And what does that mean? Well, that means even though you're working, even though you're complacent, even though you're getting a good income and good benefits, you can still be out looking for great opportunity. And that's something you can do on purpose. It shocked me when I first got into this industry that the average job seeker spends 3.5 hours on their job search, the effective part of the job search. Let's be clear about that. So effective job search, 3.5 hours a week. Anybody that's working that even takes a lunch has 3.5 hours. You have 3.5 hours during the workday, or even before or after hours. I've seen people do that too. They schedule all their network meetings 7 o'clock in the morning. They get their network meetings done by 8, and they're on the job. Meet close to your workplace. There is always a way to make it happen. And so the encouragement I give to you, Aragon, is yes, it is challenging. Yes, it is difficult, but it's totally worth it. And set yourself up a plan step by step to get where you want to go. Now, if your product is going away, that might mean, hey, I've got to learn some new skills. So what are the skills that are high demand in your marketplace? What companies are hiring for those skills? Build relationships with hiring managers and ask their feedback. Hey, I've got these skills over here. Would those skills apply to what you're doing in the marketplace? Where do I need to improve? What skills do I need to learn? By asking questions and being inquisitive, it's really interesting how far you can get in terms of building relationship and getting potential offers just because you were interested. And that's the number one cause of a bad networking, is always talking about yourself and your own needs rather than the other person and their needs. So that's the first question. I hope that's helpful, Aragon. Go ahead and shoot me an email, me@andrewbeach.com, if you have any further questions about that. So here's the next one, and there's actually two that are really related. So I thought this one was really interesting because I get this question a lot. And that is, hey, how do I get a job when I don't have any experience? That's the gist of this question. In this case, it says, I have a friend. Yes, it's actually my friend. And this is Martisler off of Reddit, who is having a very difficult time landing a job in St. Louis. He graduated 8 months ago. 8 months ago. With a mechanical engineering degree, no work experience, did not get to know his professors, meaning he didn't network, and no extracurricular activities, no internships. His lack of experience is killing his chances at a job. I might disagree with that because he may have experiences, and we'll get into that in a second. The degree is awesome, but it's just not enough anymore. A degree is awesome for your personal enrichment, okay? And so many times when you're reading requisitions today, there's so many components here, Martisler, so we'll be covering a lot of those. In a lot of cases today, when you read requisitions, what you'll see is, you'll see that they have a list of requirements. And in those requirements, it'll say bachelor's degree. And people stop reading. What they don't read is the or combination of education and experience. Or experience. So now they're putting a lot of ors behind the education requirement. And that's because every study that has been put out, for most of them, has shown that the fact that you have a degree is not an indicator of performance. It might be an indicator of knowledge or your ability to understand certain things, but it's not an indicator of performance on the job. Sorry to break that to you. Now, what could you do? In his situation, there's a whole bunch of things he could do. And in fact, even though you may think he's at a disadvantage because he didn't do all those things, and they certainly would have helped if he had done them, but you can't go back and make a new beginning. You can only start today and make a new ending. So in this case, what I would suggest is he's probably got a list of people he does know. Friends, family, coworkers, former coworkers at any of his jobs, doesn't really matter. And great people like you that are willing to introduce him to people in your network. And yes, that is called networking. And yes, it takes time, energy, and effort. However, it's also the highest return on investment. What we found is blind application creates this situation. It's not surprising to me, if the only technique he's relying on is blind application, that it's taken 8 months. If you lean on your personal relationships, build value by asking questions, you're going to be in a much better position to offer something of value. So, even though he hasn't done those things, he certainly can win. And the best part about it, Martisler, actually is that he doesn't have to say, hey, I'm looking for a job. He can say, hey, you know what? I see that you're working at this company. I'm a new graduate. I just want to get some perspective. And perhaps that's going to offer more value to the person than saying, hey, I see this requisition over here and I'd like you to hire me. Not that that strategy doesn't work, but it doesn't work consistently in terms of building a relationship and getting introduced to the right people. Because not always do you reach out to somebody and they're the actual hiring manager. Okay? Hope that helps, Martisler. Again, if you have any further questions, leave them in the comments below or send me an email at me@andrewbeach.com. So here's the last question. It says, while job searching, should I contact alumni via LinkedIn? And the answer is yes. Let's go on. I am looking for an entry-level job. Good news, those are the easiest to find. A LinkedIn job board lists the alumni employed there. Let's pause for a moment. If you're only looking at job boards, that only represents, in most cases, about 15% of the marketplace. That means if you're only looking at job boards, you're ignoring 85% of the marketplace. Pause off. Is it worthwhile to contact alumni? I don't know. Of course it is. Now, when you reach out to somebody you don't know, don't be surprised when they say, I'm busy, can't help you. That's probably 50% of the people you reach out if you don't know them. If you know them, 60-80% chance they're going to say yes. Okay? Now, if you're referred in, you have almost the same odds. Meaning, if I know somebody who knows somebody, that's better than me reaching out to that person directly. What would be appropriate to say? Hi, my name is, fill in the blank. I'm very interested in getting your perspective as a fellow alumnus of XYZ University on what it's like to work there and how you got into this field of work. I'm sure you can understand you've been in this situation before, right? Everybody's been in a position if they've graduated from college and having to find their first job. I think it'd be very intriguing to find out how did you get the first job and how did you build your career to where you are today? I'd really like to know. Would you be willing to help out a fellow alumnus? Now, in that case, is 100% of the people going to say yes? No, they're not. Okay? 100% of the people are not going to say yes. What does that mean? That means you probably have to reach out to 20 or 30 alumni in order for you to get 3 or 4 that'll have a conversation. And so don't contact 5 people and then give up. That's not enough. You have to contact 20 or 30 or 40 people in that same way to get good results. Okay? I'm considering a message along the lines of, I am interested in X position. Do you know whom I should talk to for more information about the opportunity? Now, that's not a bad strategy. It's just not a great strategy. A great strategy would be, hey, I'm aware of this requisition. Let's see, is this person potentially the hiring manager and an alumnus and a friend of mine, right? So all those areas where you might have an in, it might not just be an alumnus. It might be a friend of a friend. It might be somebody you went to church with, somebody you grew up with, a friend of your parents. So don't underestimate the value of asking for help of your inner circle to introduce you to the right people, okay? So that's how I would handle it. Now, if I'm reaching out cold, I would do something more along the lines of what we talked about, is don't come up front with an indication that you have an interest in a job. What you have an interest in is learning, understanding, and seeing who else you might be able to talk to. That's the benefit of networking, especially as an alumnus of the same university, is you can lean on your fact, hey, you've been here, I've been here, we have a common shared experience. Okay? I thank you for visiting with me here today on FAQ Friday. I'm going to do this every Friday, live stream on YouTube. And believe me, I will be here, and you can leave me any kind of questions you want in the comments down below. But before you go, I do have a free gift for you. This free gift is actually a networking checklist. And whether you're an alumni, a new graduate, or somebody looking to level up in your current role, this is a great guide to make sure you don't miss anything. Okay? And so I'll leave a link to my website down below. There's a little pop-up that comes up when you visit the website, and you should be able to enter in there your email address, and then I'll email you a copy of that networking checklist. It's a little PDF. It's pretty comprehensive, so be warned. If you follow the instructions on the checklist, you're actually going to get results. I promise. Cross my heart, hope to die. Stick a needle in my eye. Just kidding, of course. All right, this is Andrew Beach, Executive Coach. We'll see you next FAQ Friday.